Hello, and welcome to the Art of Spiritual Living Masterclass, How to Create a Life of Purpose and Joy Through Spiritual Practice. I am so excited today to have Miss De'Anna Nunez. She is an amazing human being who I met maybe about a year ago now, and I actually took her class. It's a 12-week shift program all about healthy eating, healthy lifestyle, and really shifting out of the paradigm that you formerly lived in based on belief systems and everything that surrounds you in your life, shift into this new way of being, learn about what's within you and how we can work on that together. How are you doing, De'Anna?
Oh, that was so beautifully said. I love that.
Thank you.
Being
Right.
is different than doing, isn't it?
Right.
I love it. I love it. I'm very happy to be here with you, Amanda. Thank you for inviting me to be a part of this amazing process. And I'm so excited about all the people that are out there listening and learning from you.
Yeah, well, thank you, De'Anna, and I knew I had to have you on, so I really appreciate you being a part of this amazing adventure. Anyway, I'm going to speak for a moment about Miss De'Anna. De'Anna Nunez dishes up a nutritious serving of humor, peak performance, and leadership mindset. Most people think her job as a hypnotherapist is to put them to sleep, when really it is to wake them up to their own abilities, creativity, and ultimate confidence. De'Anna is a transformational speaker and motivational hypnotist. She is a master and mastermind. She works with different corporations. She's been on stage for over 18 years around the world doing her hypnotist and motivational work. And she's a superstar in my life.
Superstar.
So, De'Anna, why don't you tell us a little bit about what you're working on right now and why you came, what you do to change the world, what your passions are.
I love working with budding and established achievers that really know their potential, but in the back of their head, they have that information that is holding them back from really experiencing their full potential. So I'm really excited about just being in kind of some new spaces in this career of mine. For many, many years, I've been on stage really showing the facets of the subconscious mind, and I'm continuing to do that. But now we're really bringing it to, I love like just the tangibles and having a structure that people can follow in their lives to really understand why they do what they do. That includes both our history as well as our future of where we're going. We kind of meet that in the middle of present day. So I just appreciate, I really value history and how it has influenced our mindset and how it continues to everyday influence. And that can go either way, right, Amanda?
Yes.
It can have a positive influence, and sometimes it can have what we perceive to be a negative influence. And the beautiful thing is that we get to decide. We have choice of which area and which energy we're going to either prosper in or suffer in. So that's what I'm doing. That's how I'm out changing lives, is just teaching that message and really giving people the tools to be able to see themselves kind of in that cycle.
Beautiful. Yeah. And you had mentioned a couple things that you're working on right now. I'd love for the audience to hear what you're doing.
Okay, so I'm in development of a book right now. I already have it as an ebook. It's called Unshakable Mindset, and it'll be developed into a full-blown printable book, which I'm super excited about. And I'm going out and speaking to corporations, groups of people, maybe 75 to 1,000, that are having their motivational, quarterly meetings, and getting them to be able to look at their goals in a new way, to really incorporate visionary thinking. And not only just having that big vision, because I think that's super important, but then also having the framework underneath of how do you get there? How do you get yourself plugged back in to the structure of your visionary thinking on a daily basis? So that's Unshakable Mindset. And of course, I still have Burn Your Fat Pants and Mind Body Fit Club, helping women to really change their perspective around food and exercise. I am a big believer in daily exercise being a component of your success. Whether you are in the corporate world or you're a mom at home or, wherever you might be in your life, I think that exercise is something that maybe people overlook as a key component to your success. I think that exercise is an important piece because it's not just about being fit or getting your heart fit. Yes, important, but it also is a way to process emotions. And
Beautiful.
I don't know that people ever look at it that way.
Yeah,
some do.
True.
So I think that those things are very important. So those are the kind of things that I'm doing right now that I'm putting a lot of focus on.
Fantastic. Thank you for that. And I'm in total agreement with the exercise really shifting your emotions. I find that when I get stuck in a specific mindset pattern, or I'm trying to figure something out, I'm trying to problem solve, whether it's through my career at work or family life with 3 young children, as soon as I go and I exercise, I go to the gym or I do some yoga or something, and I'm like exhaust myself, I come out of that and the adrenaline has gone through and like my mind is clear. It's a totally different paradigm I'm living in after I've exercised. It's a phenomenal
different messages come through your head, don't they, after you've exercised?
Yeah. And well, you've cleared out all the clutter.
Exactly.
You've cleared out all the mind clutter,
I think you've brought up a good point. In our art of spiritual living, I think we get a lot of the ideas of yoga and slow breathing and meditation. And I think breath is one of the fastest ways to create physiological shift. It's amazing. But I want people to also consider how important it is to breathe hard, right? Because we're breathing slowly as meditation, but it's important to go breathe hard as well in your workouts and your exercise, because that can create the same type of physiological shift and maybe even different. Like you feel confidence and achievement from breathing hard. So, and of course, it's important that you have that perspective of what breathing hard. Sometimes I've heard people say, I almost died. I was breathing so hard. It's like, well, that's your perspective, right? And that's your mindset around that. But the truth is you're working your heart, you're shifting your emotions, you're clearing out, as you said, you're clearing out the stagnant energy hanging around. So I think it's so important.
And and what about the detox? Your body, you're sweating out all the chemicals in your body. Totally. Because what happens when you're thinking and believing things and in these thought patterns, you're actually producing these chemicals in the body. Your every cell in the body is producing these chemicals, producing these protein molecules. So when you're actually physically exercising, you are literally excreting all the chemicals that were produced while you were in a less than fit mindset.
Just thinking of that makes me want to go run.
Right? Right? Get it all out. Sweat it out, girl.
Totally. And it feels so amazingly good. I do so much problem solving when I'm running, and so many great ideas come because, as Einstein said, to know is nothing at all, but to imagine is everything. Yeah. And clearly when you are doing some type of exercise that allows you to just be free form. I think it's different than when you are counting, like maybe you're lifting weights and you're counting reps. I don't think you get the same kind of freedom from that. And and hear me, people, I think lifting weights is super important because we need resistance exercise. But at the same time, just getting out for a really brisk walk or a run if you're a runner, or maybe on your bike, some kind of free form, it allows your mind to go into creative space. And that's when your imagination can do a lot of problem solving. I tend to think in metaphor with everything in my life. I've always been like that. I do think it's one of my gifts because I use it in my hypnotherapy to help people come full circle when they've been suffering from a particular issue. Right. I use the gift of metaphor and with that person's creative imagination to really kind of solve that problem that they've been stuck on. So I think that we can do that for ourselves constantly, but we've got to put ourselves in those spaces to do that. And exercise is one that maybe a lot of people don't think of as that. They think of it as more regimented. Yeah. I would love to shift people's mindset about this is something you want to go do for your personal health, for your mental health, for your emotional health. So yes, we could talk about this all day.
We really could, because I just thought of something else. I mean, like, what about the presence that brings you into, right? You are forced to, it's like that, you're forced into feeling your breath. You're forced into feeling your heart. You're feeling the pulsing through the veins. You're feeling your body.
Like getting connected, right?
Yeah, you're forced into presence.
Yeah.
You're in immediate awareness. You're in immediate awareness of your surroundings, and you're in immediate awareness of what's happening in the physical body. And that brings you into presence, which again gets you out of those that other mindset that you were wanting to clear. So,
Yeah, it's good. I love spiritual living so much that I could just stay floating around the room all the time.
the ethers, yes.
Yeah, I just love it. And I love hanging around those people that also are in my tribe. We could just float around together all the time. But the truth is, we also have to learn how to be in this body. Because it's our vehicle that gets us around, and this is our human experience, right? So if we can do that in a beautiful way, using our spirit, having this human experience, I get it. It's the other way around too. But in our bodies, when we feel good in this vehicle, we just have such a better outlook, and we have a better attitude, and we are, you're right, so much more present in how we show up to people. And we're our vehicle, our physical body is also a vehicle to express our greatest gifts. And if we're not feeling good in this, then we tend to not express. We tend to block ourselves from the opportunity, right, to express our gifts. So there are just so many reasons why. I could do like the top 100 reasons to get out and move.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think we're kind of getting an idea, but this is a great segue into our first question.
Okay.
So, Miss De'Anna.
Yes.
What is your daily spiritual practice to keep you in alignment and your highest self? Because you are in the limelight all the time. You're, working with clients all the time. You really have to stay on your A game. What does that look like?
What that looks like for me is touching in with inspiration, first of all. I want to always remember my why, of why I'm out there doing it in the first place. And I want to be really transparent about this, because I think as I've aged beautifully and gracefully,
I would say yes.
Yes, I have gained some wisdom, I feel, in this space for myself, and I hope that it inspires the people listening as well. I think that being out on stage and being in the limelight at one point really healed a lot of insecurities that I had of myself. From my teenage years, I had a lot of trauma that I experienced in my teenage years. Much of it was self-inflicted. And so I was just in situations that I didn't know how to process my emotions. And so I did a lot of self-inflicted, drugs, rock and roll, and alcohol, right? And more. So when I started this career 20 years ago, being on stage, I really started thinking that I had nothing good to say, and people, that people aren't going to like me, or that I had all these issues with myself. And so getting up on the stage in the first place took a lot of me getting out of my own way and realizing that it wasn't about me. It's about what I'm delivering. It's about, the experience that I create for people. And so that all felt good and well. And I was able to create a lot of success with that. And I have to be honest, though, and say that there was ego still attached to that. And as I have spent many years being that person on stage, I have learned to grow through that and realize in my spiritual living that it's not about me. And it's about, again, coming back to that experience. So for me, on a daily basis, I really need to connect to my why so that I can get out of my head and think about my purpose.
And how do you connect to that why?
So there's a couple of things in my house that remind me of my why. And the first thing is the picture of my grandmother right at my entryway. And she is, at that point in her life, probably around in her 50s or 60s. She's standing in front of the Sphinx in Egypt. And she's paying for her camel ride in the picture. And she's wearing like this wool Jackie O suit and just looking like so beautiful and on. She's got her scarf tied around her neck, and she's paying for her camel ride. And so there's a camel and the Sphinx behind her in this picture. And it comes from, a day when people weren't like regularly traveling around the world like normal. Like now we all get out a lot more. But then kind of only the people that really had the money to do that were doing that. And she was doing that. And so she inspires me because she was a woman who came from Oklahoma with literally only a nickel in her pocket when she arrived to California. And she and my grandfather ended up working really hard and creating millions of dollars. They invested, they continued to save and work, and there was no windfall. Like they created that windfall. And then they really lived it. They lived the spiritual living. They believed that God blessed them, and they believed that they should then bless others with the money that they created. And so they gave back in huge ways. I mean, as a little girl, I remember seeing my grandmother sitting at her office desk, just writing checks. And she just every single month sat down and wrote almost a book of checks out every single month to the charities and the organization and the churches that she really believed in.
Amazing.
So, I know, it was really, so that's my why. I want to be like that, And so she also was very fit. I watched, when I would go and spend the night at my grandmother's house, which I loved doing, she would waken me in the morning jogging.
Wow.
So I'd be, 7 or 8 years old, laying in bed in her little single beds in the guest room, and she'd come in and she'd be jogging in place, like literally jogging in place. And she did that all the way through her 90s.
Wow.
Through her 90s. And she passed at 103, just shy of 103.
Wow.
And she passed of no disease, just went to sleep. And I believe she woke up in the arms of my grandfather, right, on the other side. So I think that is beautiful, and it's something to aspire to. And it really, I feel so heart connected when I think about that why. And I had very deep conversations with her and got to know her heart. And she was willing to give that. I also have another second why, and I'll try to get through this fast so you can get to your next question, but it's also what drives me on a daily basis of what not to do. My mother, my grandmother's daughter, it must have skipped a generation, but my mother had a really difficult time in her life. And I think that there was a lot of things that I didn't get to know about her that made it difficult. So it makes me sad in a way that she didn't express her feelings or emotions or open her heart to me. So she kept it extremely locked and closed and like an armor around it. And that harshness was definitely an experience growing up. Yeah. So I didn't get like the warm and fuzzies from my mom. But so now I make it a point to experience the warm and fuzzies with my own kids, saying, I love you, bringing them in, making sure that that's a daily function in our family. My husband and I are very loving, like we hug a lot, and my kids witness that. I didn't see that from my mother as a kid. So I really feel like, and she didn't ever say, I love you. She said, I love you, like in birthday cards, So I feel like there was a huge gap in that, really just that need for love and nurturing. And I did get that from my father, but my father was, I was, like the weekend daughter. So it just it didn't feel like enough, for me. So I've kind of grumbled with that. And I still am, to be honest, there's still moments that I really got to snap myself back in place and remember what I'm about and what I'm about now. When you talk about present moments, again, that history meets our future now. And who do I want to be and who am I needs to have a nice cohesiveness and be in alignment, right? And so I get in alignment with my why, on a daily basis. And let's just be honest, there are days that we are not in alignment. So I would never want the people listening to this to try to think, oh, I hope to aspire to be like her, or be perfect, because it's not about that. We're a mosaic, right? We're all these broken pieces that we fit together to be something beautiful. But some of us aren't putting our pieces together, right? And so it's our job to, on a regular basis, if you have to rebuild that mosaic of that beautiful picture every day, then do it.
Yes.
Do it. So
well, I think
there's a structure to that.
Yeah. And I think your commitment, to your running every morning and your fitness is such a huge inspiration. And you really have empowered so many women through that process of, stepping out of the comfort zone and committing to your health, committing to your well-being, committing to your sense of presence through that, something like daily running or exercise.
Can I just pause you for a second with that? I used to love myself with ice cream and with food, like binge eating, just, thinking about lunch when I'm eating breakfast. I was fixated on it because it was my source to make me feel better back in the day. And the reason that I run is not to be skinny. I think that might be a misconception when you just look at pictures on Facebook. The reason I run is because that is how I am loving myself. So
that's a big difference.
It's a huge difference. And I really want people to get that and practice it, especially those that have any kind of vice that they feel like they have to have in their life. Realize that the vice is simply a temporary, extremely temporary fixation or a temporary solving of your problem. But I would urge you to look underneath that. And
there's opportunity to shift.
Yes.
There's opportunity to shift. That's one of the things De'Anna does. She helps shift people in a huge way with her hypnotizing work, NLP work, and then she's got a whole she's got programs coming out of her ears. She's the most creative people I know.
I love to create.
Yes. In terms of putting tools together and things for people. I mean, really phenomenal work.
I do think it is that. I love the ethereal and I love the tactile. Because I think that we need to have both, to feel. We talk about balance. It's not just about repeating affirmations, right? You've got to have a structure that goes with that. So I love that you mentioned that.
Exactly. So that's a great segue to my next question, which is, what do you tell your audience are the 3 most important tools to stay in alignment with your soul's purpose, to be in joy in your life, to choose the positive thoughts, those kinds of things?
Yes. Oh my gosh, I could just have so much to say. We could do a whole retreat on this. But if I'm to pick 3, I would say take a look at your triggers, your habits, and your beliefs. Those 3 things, your triggers, your habits, and your beliefs. Because those 3 work together that create your mindset. So those 3 are kind of like, here's your mindset of like, ooh, I have a good attitude towards life. Well, what's your structure underneath that? Because those things all need to be in alignment. And when you know what triggers you, you can't be triggered. Right? And typically we get triggered, we do something after that. We get triggered to act. And a lot of times that's where those vices come in. We act off of that trigger. And it's always some kind of emotional or stress trigger that has come from some sort of experience in your life, in your history. And that's why it's important to know your history. I teach peak performance, and so often people assume that peak performance is all about goal achievement and just getting to that top, as fast as you can, and peak state and, all the rah-rah stuff. But I feel like you need to know what's growing under the surface to produce the beautiful plant or flower that's growing on top of the surface. You've got to value that a tree goes as far under the ground as it goes high, right? Or somewhat, maybe it reaches out.
Beautiful. Well, and that leads to sustaining. How do we sustain this?
And I think that's where your structure comes in. When you know your triggers, your habits, and your beliefs are all in alignment, now you have a framework that is extremely sustainable. And you just repeat. Your subconscious loves repetition. And you've been repeating probably a lot of negative things that you're growing a result. So, you're really good at the process anyway. So why not have it be a process that works for you? So when you have triggers, habits, and beliefs that are all in alignment in your highest good, that's a framework that you can really depend on. And I think that when we get off track, and it happens to me as well, but I know how to get myself back on super fast. super fast. And that's what I teach my clients is I want you to know what your framework is, that we've taken the time to look at each of those pieces and experience them both on a conscious level of, okay, this is my goal to know my triggers, my habits, and my beliefs, but also know it on a subconscious level.
Mm-hmm.
What is the creative and the emotional piece to how I relate to those things, you know? So having that structure is absolutely everything. And we could get into the particulars of all those things, but we don't really have time. But I would urge people to go, you know, to my website, because I have a lot of content on the structure of how those things work.
Yeah. Or framework, as you call it. Again,
Yeah.
she has, everyone who's listening, she has infinite tools available that really, it's more about what resonates with you, because she is like a flourishing well or spring of creativity and information. Even right now, you're speaking, it's poetic. So
I just love this stuff, though. It's like I can't get enough.
I know. That's, you're here to serve humanity. It's beautiful. We only have just a couple minutes left. So, I mean, it's been a very rich and wonderful and inviting interview.
Thank you.
I want you to tell everyone what your free gift is. Everyone on this page that you're watching the video from, just below, there'll be a free gift offered by De'Anna. So why don't you speak a moment about that?
My free gift is the healthy mindset cycle. I call it vital mind training, because when you are vital, it really is a spinoff of the word vitality. I love that word because it's all about mental and physical vigor, which also, of course, includes your emotional self, right? So the vital mind training is knowing exactly what I'm talking about, how to create and sustain a cycle that you can repeat. So if you go to the link that you've provided there, there is a beautiful gift of understanding the structure to this entire cycle, how to build it out for yourself. And then there's a beautiful MP3 meditation, because anything I do is going to include both that beautiful spiritual essence as well as the tactile structure, because I want to speak to your subconscious. Because when we get your subconscious involved, then it's easy. Like, don't you want this to all just come to you natural, like succinctly, easy?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, and it doesn't happen like that until it sinks down to a subconscious level. So I have provided an MP3 that helps you to let it sink, let my words become your words. And let's let's replace some of that nastiness, that negative stuff that's been going on that's way too old. Like, we don't need that going on anymore. Let's just pull that weed and plant a new seed.
Yes. Clear and clean and vitalize the well. Don't poison the well. I love that.
Yes.
Well, De'Anna, Miss Fabulous, Amazing D.
I'm going to give you a hug.
I know. It's hug time. I'm so happy I did this interview with you. I'm so happy you agreed to do this, because I feel like everyone listening out there, this is extremely important information. This is, these are foundational tools. She used the word, tools and framework. It's helping provide and build a framework from which you live, so that you can remain within that framework of being in your soul's alignment and positivity and living your healthiest and best lifestyle. That's what she's all about. She's an amazing human being. She's a beautiful spirit and light. And thank you so much, De'Anna, for joining me today.
Thank you, Amanda. I have so appreciated this moment. Thank you.
Aww. Well, hopefully everyone enjoyed it as well. And I hope you're all enjoying the online summit that I'm running daily. So be sure to check your email every day for the next amazing guests, such as De'Anna. All right, everyone, take care. Thank you.